Once upon a time, a boy named Jack climbed a magical beanstalk into the house of a giant. He stole the giant's goose and killed the giant before coming back down to start a lemonade company with some lemons he stole. But soon afterward, the giant police came down in helicopters and sent him to giant prison. After a while in it, he decided to escape. On his first attempt, he was going to knock out the guard with his plate of food when the giant came to retrieve it. The giant walked in and leaned down to grab the plate of food. Jack began to lift it up. However, it was sized for giants, so he could barely lift it above his toes before dropping it on his toes. As he hopped around in pain, the giant effortlessly grabbed the plate of food and left. For his next attempt, Jack decided to tear up his bed sheets and use them into ropes to climb out the window. There was one problem. The bed was too tall for him to get on it. He tried to shimmy up the bedpost, but he slid down and it splintered him the whole way. He quickly gave up that plan. Finally, he looked around and saw a rat hole. Normally that wouldn't be much use, but this was a giant rat. He found that he could easily fit in the rat hole and found himself in a maze of tunnels. The giants took a long time to figure out that Jack was gone because he was too small for them to see anyway, and he tended to be quiet. Meanwhile, back in the tunnels, Jack was cold. He saw a big pile of fur in front of him, and thinking it might be a fur blanket or a coat, he rushed forward. Then the fur moved. It was the giant rat that made the tunnel. Jack ran through another tunnel, which finally led outside. And after all that running, he found he wasn't cold anymore. He looked in front of him and saw a helicopter. Panel was open in it, and there was a gleam of gold within the panel. He rushed into the inside of the panel and found that the golden light came from big gold ropes. As he looked around at the ropes, a giant closed up the panel, and he felt the helicopter starting to fly. But Jack's mind was still on the gold. He tugged at one of the ropes until it finally came free of whatever was holding it. And at the same time, the helicopter came free of the sky. It turned out Jack was inside the control wiring for the helicopter, and the golden ropes were actually wires. Luckily, the helicopter landed on a marshmallow factory. The panel popped open, and Jack fell out onto this strange, white, gooey, and yet also sweet substance. He grabbed the golden wire he had pulled free and ran through a forest. As he was running, he thought about what to do. If he could get back to his lemonade company, he would be okay, because it was a multi-million-dollar lemonade company. He decided to ask the first person he met for instructions on how to get to the city. Unfortunately, the first person he met was a tortoise, Timmy the tortoise. The city is just... Jack was getting impatient. Okay, bye. Jack ran off in that direction, not seeing how the tortoise's finger continued to move. Why? Jack ran through the forest, finding no city in sight. There was, however, a house. He knocked on the door, and a rabbit came out. Hello, my name's Hare the rabbit. I always tell the truth now. Do you need me to tell the truth? Yeah, tell me which way the city is. Okay, it's this way. Hare ran off so quickly that Jack could not even see which direction he went. The rabbit soon came back and said, oh, whoops, I forgot most people are slower than me. Anyway, follow me. He ran slower this time, and Jack was barely able to keep up. Hare led him to the edge of the city and then ran back to his home. Jack found his way to the skyscraper that housed his company and walked inside. The receptionist was just packing up and leaving, even though it was 2:00 p.m. But Jack said, "Hey, look, it's me, Jack. Could you please just let me up to my office on the top floor?" He was unrecognizable after all that time in giant prison, so the receptionist merely said, I don't know who you are, but it costs 50 cents to go up there." Jack had added that rule after he became annoyed with people visiting him in his office. He searched around in his pockets and around him and found the only money he had was the giant golden wire. He handed it to the receptionist and rushed into the elevator. She said, "I wouldn't do that." Jack was too busy to listen. He finally rushed into his office, where he found a report on his desk. As he read it, he discovered that apparently the company's stocks had tanked after some pig had sold all of his stocks. The company was now selling the property with the skyscraper to a farmer who was demolishing it to make room for a wheat field. As Jack looked up from the report, he saw a giant wrecking ball come through the window